Hi everyone, and welcome back to the fourth and final webinar in our Teams for Government series, how to ensure employee engagement in challenging times and beyond. So with us today, we have Chris Lukianenko, the host and creator of the LiveTiles Intelligent Workplace podcast, the resident Canberran and senior sales executive, who also happens to be me, Vlad Radovic, Vanessa Ferguson, the LiveTiles' very own VP of People Experience, and LiveTiles product specialist, Jason Alessi. I'll talk a little bit about this fabulous company. We are a global company that specializes in employee collaboration and communications software, services, and AI for the workplace. We operate across the globe, supporting our customers to get more out of their work. So, does everybody remember the time when we would cram a bunch of people in tight meeting rooms, drink coffee together, collaborate, laugh, create, chat, give high fives, and just get up to a bunch of awesome shenanigans in the office?
Stop it, you're making me cry.
Unfortunately, we now have a bit of a new normal. Teams meetings, collaborating via video, shooting chat messages around from the home office, from your kitchen, maybe from your couch, maybe from your bed. For those who are more introverted or like the independence, the quiet, or the uncluttered feel of working remotely, it's great. I mean, I love it, even though I don't necessarily consider myself an introvert. But there are others, the extroverts, who crave the interaction. And then, of course, there's everything in between as well. So I'm assuming here that the introverts love it and the extroverts hate it mostly, but how do you really know? If all you ever get to see is someone's face on a screen for short moments here and there, how do you really know how they're feeling, how they're going? That's the question that led us to develop LiveTiles Vibe. So I'll hand it over to Chris and Vanessa, who will talk in more detail about LiveTiles Vibe. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Vlad. Thanks. I am one of those extroverted people who has been struggling a little bit with being at home. So I'm liking the fact that I get into the office a little bit now, but I totally understand this whole feeling of being a little bit disconnected with your workers. And this, look, you are in charge of people and culture for us here at LiveTiles, people and experience, sorry. And you've pretty much lived through this whole thing, having to manage so many different people who are all feeling these different feelings, whether they be the introverts or the extroverts. It's not been an easy period for you, has it?
No, it hasn't. It's been, well, it's been essentially a very strange 7 or 8 months now. I think it's, going on 8 months, where, we've had to deal with a lot of different changes in the organization. The biggest one, I guess, being the shift to work from home and putting us all in our own little rooms where we just connect through the screen. So that's been absolutely very challenging, not to mention we're a global business, so working across time zones and also different things happening in different regions of the world. So lockdown in Melbourne, where I am today, which seems to have gone on forever, versus other parts of the world like Europe, where things have been relatively open for the last 5 months or so. So it's been a real challenge to deal with the different circumstances that people find themselves in. And also, as you guys mentioned, the different personality types that exist within an organization too, which absolutely shape whether someone reacts very positively to the working from home environment or whether they struggle with it and crave that face-to-face interaction.
And, obviously when we first started this whole lockdown thing, we weren't really sure how far it would go and how long it would last. As things dragged on, did you find this whole thing sort of almost like a bit like a runaway train with everybody just doing their own thing and not being able to keep track of it? How long after it all started did you think, I need a bit of help with tracking this and thinking about a technology solution?
Yeah, that's a good question. We are very fortunate at LiveTiles in that we are already set up to work, remotely, in that what we do is already online, and it's actually what we help our customers do to get set up to collaborate online. So it was kind of, that part of the transition was relatively easy, just moving from, however many days people were in the office to all days at home. That part was simple. We still had the tools and everything necessary to collaborate. but our culture was very much built around the social elements of getting together face to face, and we used to invest very heavily actually in actually flying people around the world to connect. We've always said that it's great if you can meet customers face to face and partners face to face, because that's how you build those deeper relationships. And likewise, same goes for our internal teams. We try to, you know, where possible, get together, and that often came with a cost, but we felt that there was an ROI there as well. So in terms of getting the transition to work from home, it was okay. We were all right with that, but it's the cultural side of what does this mean for us? How do we keep people engaged and connected? And it was probably very early on that we realized we would probably need some tooling to help with this, to connect with people. So previously in my role, I've always done regular engagement surveys for the whole company, where we, you know, gather a huge amount of data relating to things around, you know, not just engagement, but really drilling down into things around happiness and how people are feeling about the business, about leadership, about management, about the vision, all of that really rich stuff that you can gather feedback on. But when COVID sort of entered and we were all physically separated, we thought, well, maybe, you know, throwing more online work for people to do at home is just going to be bothersome for everyone. So is there a better way perhaps that we can gather feedback from people around how they're feeling? And so that's sort of what led to the creation of LiveTiles Vibe, which I'm sure we'll get into in a second.
Well, you mentioned that you've done surveys of that sort of thing before. Surely there was something out there that you're already using that could fill the place of what Vibe is doing for us now.
Yeah, we thought so too, and we did quite a lot of research. We absolutely could have used the tooling that we use for engagement to gather feedback from our employees, but it was kind of beyond what we needed it for, and it would have been quite cumbersome to put together regularly, and also to ask our employees to respond to lengthy survey questions.
Yep.
So it didn't really suit our need, and we did quite a bit of research to look into what is out there. And interestingly, there was nothing that absolutely fit our use case, where we just wanted very quick check-ins with people, the ability to grab a really quick, authentic, real-time response to a question, and something that wasn't going to feel like, oh, I've just got this email from Vanessa and now I have to block 10 minutes in my calendar to go and fill this out. So so given nothing really existed that suited our needs, we decided to build something.
And is that the key difference here? It's more about an in the moment, very quick response, as opposed to filling out a 10-question survey about how you're feeling.
Yeah, I think it is. It's the speed with which we can gather data, and the fact that we're not taking people outside of their environment. So if you're sitting in your emails or you're sitting in Teams doing whatever work it is you're doing, we're not taking you via a link to another environment, which even has its own sort of psychological, you know, shift for an individual, a user, if you like. That can change responses. It can make you think, oh gosh, I've got to answer this, and you can overthink the whole process. Whereas the way that we've set up LiveTiles Vibe is so rapid, just like, hey, how are you feeling today? Boom, you can answer with an emoji, or depending on how it's set up. It's not taking you away from anything, and there's not even any point to delay it and put it off till the end of the day, for example, or when you've got a free hour. It's actually faster to just answer it for it to go away than to file it somewhere else to come back to later.
Something, you know, everybody's always worried about these days is privacy, and the idea of this thing is to have it be anonymous. It is anonymous. You're literally getting a roll up of the responses, not the individual person's names linked to that response, aren't you?
Exactly. So so a lot of, when we talked about before the engagement surveys and things, you can get really rich data that can drill down into demographics relating to a particular team that someone sits in, or it can be, you know, other variables relating to their tenure or their age, their physical location. Vibe was intended not to, you know, bring all of that, but rather keep it really simple. It's something that we love at LiveTiles, making what can be very complex and overwhelming super simple. So so we've made it anonymous by default. There is the ability to make it not anonymous, but by default it is, and it just gives us an overall read of a collective, so an overall vibe, if you like.
And so even though it is really simple and really quick, you're still getting pretty rich information, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And it depends on the question and how you frame the question, I guess. But, you know, I'll give you an example of something that that we sent out a vibe for not long ago. So, well, actually probably was a long time ago, but all the days are blended into one with this Melbourne lockdown. But so when we actually entered as a Melbourne team, the harsher stage 4 lockdown back in July, we felt a little bit isolated as a group compared to the rest of our company. So we have our colleagues in Hobart and in Sydney and Brisbane, and then in the US and throughout Europe, and things seemed to be normal for everyone else, but we were obviously stuck at home, and our kids were around interrupting our meetings and asking for snacks every 30 minutes. So we sort of thought about it as a leadership team. Many of us are in Melbourne, and we said, well, what can we do? Let's maybe up the ante on a lot of our social connection stuff. So one of the things we did, we organized a cocktail hour, and it was really good. We sent martini packs to everyone, and we all got online as a group, you know, on a Friday at 4 p.m. to have a cocktail, and we did a little tutorial on how to make a smoky old fashioned. And it was really great. And at the end, we're like, oh, wasn't this nice? We should do this again. Yeah, let's do it weekly. And then I sensed on the call that there wasn't an overwhelming sort of consensus we wanted to do this weekly. And I think that was a real sort of way to see that there is differences amongst every group, and some people, you know, do really enjoy the social and others not so much. So so what I did after is I actually sent out a vibe to get a bit of a read from the group. Hey, do you guys want to have, you know, weekly catch-ups socially throughout the next, you know, coming months, or would you rather keep it to monthly, or would you rather do away with them altogether? And what we found from that vibe was that people actually wanted maybe just a monthly catch-up and not this weekly onslaught of being happy and social on another online meeting that we're sitting in the exact same room for. Yeah,
I have a similar story from my my high school 20-year reunion, where after that everybody said we should do this every single week, and then that died off very quickly because we realized there was a reason we hadn't seen each other for 20 years. But anyway, I digress. I noticed that Jason has turned his camera off, but Jason, if you want to flick your camera on for a second, please, mate, because what this is going into is a really nice chat about what actually are we doing with this product on launch, because it's not actually out and about just yet. We're letting everybody in here today on the inside to understand more about what this could be. And we're going out at launch with a range of 12 cards. So Jace, can you explain for us initially what a card is, and what are the 3 areas we're going to be focusing on with launch?
Yeah, sure thing. So fitting with the idea that Vanessa said about vibes, is we've built these, essentially they're cards, and we have assorted them into 3 categories that will fit the mold for our go live with the product, and they are aligned to wellness, alignment, and engagement. And so under the wellness category, each category will have a pack of 4 cards, and under wellness, we've actually, I guess, committed to a partnership with an organization called Human Inc., who are experts in the wellness field and psychology. And being a tech company, we are not experts in psychology and the human mind, so we have gone to the experts there to help us understand how we can extract the most out of that. And we've really developed these cards that speak to the user at a level that really encapsulates, you know, the wellness space and how we can really extract the most out of that. Alignment is to do with being an employee in a company. So are you aligned with the company vision and goals? And so questions there that we might ask would be around, do you understand the company mission and vision? Or how do you feel about the company? Or do you think your company walks the talk on? So it's for an organization to really understand, have we captured our employees? Are they on this mission with us? And are we going to the same place together? And then under engagement is more on a personal level. So understanding how that employee is doing on a personal level with the company. So questions like, particularly with COVID, how are you feeling about working from home so much? How do you feel about all the extra video conferencing? Do you feel acknowledged for the work that you do in your role? And so that's more of a personal growth area, particularly for managers to understand, how are my staff doing in my department or in my team? So that kind of separates the two between alignment and engagement between company and employee.
Yep. Hey, Ness, how important was it to bring in the expertise of Human Inc. to help develop this initial set of cards?
Very. So I have a psych background myself, and so I really appreciate sort of the rigor that you can put around anything relating to measuring attitudes and responses. So
Yep.
so yeah, it was important to us not to just sort of guess like what are some good things to ask people and you know and perhaps jeopardize the validity and reliability of the responses that we're getting. So that's why we've gone to the experts who this is what they do every day, and it's been really good to collaborate and make sure that what we are asking is what we are measuring, and that you know we can do something with that data rather than you know it just being a nice to know sort of, it may mean this, it may not.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, so this product is coming out very shortly. We were saying initially it's going to be launched with the aim of helping people like Vanessa. But then there are other applications which we'll talk about after the demonstration. So, Ness, how will this help you with your role? How are you going to use this to make decisions and that sort of thing?
Yeah, so I can use it for a range of things, really. I mean, the initial use case that we've discussed was when everyone shifted to work from home. How are we going to track our employees' wellness? How are we going to see how people are feeling? Who's connected? Who's feeling disconnected? Who's you know, struggling and you know, might need some extra support, that kind of thing. Interestingly, the vibe doesn't drill down into the individual, so we can't necessarily gather that level of information from a vibe, but I can see week on week, or even you know day on day, if I was to push them out that regularly, sort of the trend in how people are feeling. And I can see, oh, okay, so Melbourne's entered a stricter lockdown, and I've seen a real slump in the data that people aren't feeling as good. So maybe we do need to have another social catch up, or maybe we don't. And actually that led us to not throwing another social engagement at people when we saw in the data that people weren't feeling great. We actually gave our Melbourne team a day off, and a Netflix and jammies day to just be in a funk and you know feel sorry for yourself. And I think some of us with kids, we didn't find it that helpful, because our partners are like, I'm not okay with
organised a babysitter too.
yeah, all day doing nothing. But I think those without kids really appreciated that day. So certainly checking in with people and getting an overall vibe when it comes to engagement and wellness, and just how people are feeling is great. We see it going a lot further. We see the use cases for HR being, you know, around a whole range of things. We could certainly get vibes around the onboarding process or the recruitment process. We could push vibes out to, you know, candidates that we interview, like how did you find the interview process with LiveTiles. We could certainly use it throughout the employee journey, and certainly, you know, I see a lot of room for it in allowing our managers and department leads in all teams to create their own vibes and use it internally, and not just have it sit with someone like myself leading HR, but use it in a team-based way. And so, yeah, there's a lot. I mean, I believe that the use cases for this are infinite. We see a lot of the marketing team just really eager to get their hands on it, to get feedback from people. So it's really anything that you want a quick response on. That's going to be a suitable use case for LiveTiles Vibe.
I'll let you go in 1 second, but just one last question. Any thoughts on frequency? What's too many times a week to be sending out vibes to one individual person, much like you get, you know, with, you know, email campaign programs? Is there any advice you can offer up on that?
Yeah, so typically even with surveys, and I won't mention the names of them, but a lot of companies use surveys that they push out weekly to employees or even fortnightly, and they claim that these surveys should take no longer than 5 minutes for an employee to complete. Even weekly for an actual survey has shown to cause survey fatigue. And people either refuse to do it after a period of time, or they're not giving their genuine responses. Fortunately, with LiveTiles Vibe, because the response is so rapid and it's such a quick way to give your feedback, weekly has shown to be absolutely appropriate. We could even go more frequently. If you think how many times you text and send an emoji with a thumbs up or just a smiley face, it's not a taxing part of your day, really. It's very common to us to respond to people in that way. So vibes don't tend to even register as something that, oh, I've got to do this. This is annoying. So you could literally push one out every day if you wanted to. I haven't been doing that. I've been keeping it to weekly.
No, fair enough. Great advice. Great advice. Now, what we might do is throw it, or just put my chair down. Apologies. Just throw it over to Jace to show us a little bit about how this is going to work. So I'll make Jace the presenter here, and then he can jump on the screen, hopefully. You got control now, Jace?
I do. Let's try this. Should all be seeing LiveTiles Vibe. Just want to confirm that for me, Chris, so you guys can see that.
I just got lost in my
things
now. No, I'm good.
Yes. Awesome. So yeah, this is we haven't quite gone live yet, so we are giving you all a quick sneak peek to the product. It is very light, very simple, very easy to use. Anyone can pick this up. As you see here, we've got a 3-step process to basically select your vibe, set your recipients, set your scheduling, and send. We did originally start this product in Teams, so there's about half development sitting in Teams, but we actually pivoted to email due to some research. We actually just kind of figured out that for the go live anyway, that we're probably going to have more uptake in email, we're going to have more adoption. So it's not to say that we won't revisit Teams in the future, but it's definitely our primary focus to stick with email right now. So as you see, when you first get to the app, you're presented with a whole series of cards or vibes in a cycle format. Now, all of these cards in here will match the 3 categories that we spoke about before, and it's simply a matter of picking the one which best suits what you want to ask your group of users. This one here is one of the ones that are aligned to the wellness category. So what we co-developed with Human Inc. So you simply select the vibe, move on to the next stage. Here is where we input the email addresses of our users. Again, this is subject to change, certain elements through here as well. So the way certain functionality you see now might be tweaked slightly for when we actually launch the product. But here we're inputting a series of email addresses separated by a comma. Once we have moved past this stage, we get into the scheduling. Now, the scheduling is a big part of Vibe because it allows you to autonomously send out these questions or these quick engagement checks on a regular basis. So instead of having to, send out multi-question surveys, which is what we're trying to get away from regularly, 20, 30, 40 question surveys, we can actually send these quick vibe cards on a scheduled basis. It could be every day, every second day, whatever suits your needs. And it allows you actually to capture data over a long period of time. So a really good example we give here is at the start of COVID to now, how are your users feeling with the big shift in having to leave the office and start working from home? You start to ask questions like, how are you feeling about working from home? Are you set up? This sort of stuff. You're probably going to see the answers heavily sway towards the negative side. So, especially in an organization where, you probably work from the office every day, you're not set up to work from home, the kids are home from school now, you're probably, you know, not feeling the best. But over a long period of time, if you keep sending these vibes out, and you start to adapt with COVID, you start to set yourself up at home, you work out a plan to you know, how the kids are going to be looked after, how you're going to do homeschool, so you start to feel more comfortable. And then as you keep answering these vibes, your answers are probably going to start to shift towards probably the positive side. And so when you run these vibes over 2, 3, 4 months, you have all that data to see, okay, have we actually grown as a business to accommodate the data and the issue that we've actually had at hand? And Vibe's given us all this great data, so we can actually now adapt and then adjust the business based on what we've collected. So you set the day first, and then you set the time. So I might just jump down here. Unfortunately, right now it is only in increments of 5 minutes. So I might have to actually just set this to 10 o'clock. If you do set it in the past, obviously it will go to the week ahead. And then you can set it to weekly or just once only. So this would send today at 10 a.m. and then stop. If I chose once only, if I set it to weekly, it will send itself on a loop. For compliance, you know, we have the terms and conditions, everything there about what we do with the data. The data is safe, 100%. It is anonymous, so we're not actually capturing any of your direct feedback assigned to you as a user. Once that is complete, you'll be prompted with a confirmation page and some information there on when your vibes will be scheduled, as well as when you will receive your analytics. So the way we are displaying the analytics for the answers right now is through email form. So every 7 days after your vibe has been sent, so pretty much on a weekly basis, you will receive a roundup email for your vibes that breaks down the percentage of users, all the analytics you would expect to see. So how many sends, bounce backs, how many unsubscribes, that sort of stuff. And then a breakdown in, I guess, a graphical format of the question. So if it's a yes, no, it'll basically be a percentage of, you know, 70% have said yes, 30% have said no. So that allows you to form, you know, insights over a period of time if you set your vibe to scheduling. And then we can loop straight back around and send another one again. So I might want to send that same vibe again, but on a different schedule, on a different loop. So you can actually send as many as you need to as many people as you need, or as many groups. Now, being that's still 3 minutes away, I do have some vibes that I prepared earlier. And what you will notice is these will actually render directly in the inbox when you're using Microsoft Outlook. So a lot of the other, I guess, survey tools out there, which we're not a survey tool, we're definitely not, will actually redirect you out towards the browser or somewhere else we need to log in and go through a few steps. So the barrier to entry is a lot higher. When we're talking about Vibe, I receive that card directly in my email, I open it, and with this particular Vibe, it's a matter of clicking any of those gauges, low, average, high, and that is my answer submitted. You should receive a thank you card, which I'm hoping the service is working here. And that's it. That's the end of the question. So it is literally a matter of seconds. And the idea there, you know, a bit of the psychology behind it is to actually get that answer in a certain moment of time. So a momentary assessment, exactly what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling. The card is there to extract that information. Where you're talking about something like a survey that, you know, if it's too many questions, I might go, I'll get to that later. And my whole, I guess, frame of mind, how I'm feeling, how I'm thinking when I go back to that survey could be completely different to when that vibe was sent or that survey was sent at the start. And just the notion of having to do the survey is enough to change a person's mindset. So,
so that's the in the moment element that we're really trying to capture, which separates us from a survey, yeah?
Absolutely. And so,
yeah.
As you saw there, really low touch, you know, a vibe should probably be no more than 3 questions, if that. And what's really neat is it's more than just, you know, radio boxes, check buttons, that sort of stuff. The way we design the UI for these cards is they can be fun. So as you saw there, you know, there were images that we could answer. Here's another one where we can use emojis. So they're really light, really low touch, engaging for the user, But on the flip side, on the back end, the data that we're capturing from these vibes, could actually be vital for an organization to understand. So it's a really fun, light way of extracting really important information for the business.
Hey Jace, you know that I'm not technical, and I love what this is doing for people like Vanessa. What about me in marketing? What about my colleagues in sales? Like, you know, where are our cards? Where are our surveys? What are we going to do with that?
Yeah, great question. So obviously for the launch, we've had to cap it to, you know, a certain amount of what we can do. So we are targeting specifically the HR and comm space for our launch, but we have big roadmaps ahead, and this product, we could take it anywhere and everywhere, really. We could absolutely create cards for marketing and for sales, where we would actually create integrations to CRMs and HRMs and, you know, platforms like Salesforce and Marketo, where it's actually not just asking a question and getting the data back and sitting in a database for some analytics. So actually be extracting information from a user, and then through integration, we could actually be writing it back to another system. So, you know, having workflows on the back end, you know, that tie into business process is definitely somewhere we could take this product.
Sounds awesome. For those that know the Hyperfish product, which is now our people directory, it feels kind of like you've stolen a little bit of that technology and put it with some new stuff, and because that goes back and forth with Active Directory, doesn't it?
Absolutely, and that's probably the basis of what we kind of took the idea for Vibe. Is we've kind of already done it with directory in a different way, of course, but that notion of being prompted in email form to fill out your user profile information could be absolutely applied through Vibe as well for different use cases. So being prompted by Vibe to, you know, update certain data in a platform, you know, having that data is the first step. What we do with it and what you need to do with that data is the next step behind that, and the possibilities there could be endless.
So it's not all just about looking after Vanessa and the people and experienced people. That's good to know. Good to know.
In the short term, it's definitely HR focused.
Yes.
After that, okay.
Well, I might just thanks for that, mate. That's fantastic. It's that looks really awesome. I love the little graphics there that you've pulled together. It looks unreal. I'll steal back presenting here for the moment. Ness, pretty exciting stuff. Sure.
Absolutely. And I mean, we're using a team effectively because we're a big adopter, but also happy to know that it's coming in emails as well. I think you know, that makes it far more accessible for everyone who might not even be using Teams.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thanks very much, everybody. I might just throw it back over to Vlad now to wrap this thing up for us. Thanks, mate.
Thanks, Chris, and thanks to everyone that joined us for this 4-part series. It was great having you along for the ride. If there's anything else that you need to know, or anything you'd like to know, if you'd like to know a little bit more about Vibe, please get in touch. And thanks again for joining us. Thanks, everyone.